So I'm going to start off with a bit of a story. So in 2019, I was with a group of stakeholders, and I was demoing a new report that I'd built. And the first bit of feedback I got was about the design, about the interactivity of it. Before we even started talking about the data that was in the report or the charts that were in the report, the main thing that they started talking about was how it looked and how it felt to use it, etc. And that was the thing that kind of really got me interested in how we can apply UI and UX to Power BI reports. And that's what I'm going to go through with you today. Um, so, so who am I? So I'm Nick. I'm actually originally from Birmingham. I now live in the southwest. I spent my teenage years in Pigeon Park, and I went to school in Kings Heath. But I've lived in the southwest for about 15 years now. I started my data career about 15 years ago when I moved to the southwest. This is me 15 years ago, fresh-faced, and little did I know, 15 years later, I'd be sitting here 5 stone heavier and rapidly turning grey. But it is what it is. But yeah, I started my career using SAP Business Objects. I'll take that picture off because it's probably quite distracting. But I spent the first few years in SAP Business Objects, and then moved into SSRS, and then of course Power BI came around, and I've been consulting for most of that time. And in the last few years, I've been working with Power BI and customers, and really around productizing Power BI solutions. So not so much in-house delivering reporting and reporting solutions to in-house teams, but actually delivering SaaS solutions, or what I came to term it as RAS solutions, so reporting as a service kind of solutions. And because it was that kind of SaaS solution, there was heavy emphasis on UI and UX. And we started to come to say that, we need to make these Power BI reports not look like Power BI. We want them to look like modern applications that our users are using every day. So in preparation for this, I was just having a look at some numbers, and some numbers I picked up were, according to the Business Application Research Centre, the adoption rate of BI tools is around 20%, and it's been that way for a number of years now, so it's pretty stagnant. And when we talk about the adoption of the tools, we're talking about people that are directly using those tools. So while that number is quite low, at the same time, we're seeing an increase in the indirect use of tools, so such as embedding reports and dashboards within other applications. So if anyone here uses Microsoft Dynamics, you'll know about the embedded reports within Microsoft Dynamics. The solution that I built before I joined the company I'm with now was an e-commerce reporting SaaS solution, and that was an embedded solution. So the way people are using reports now is different, and the way they're using them differently is increasing. And there's more, what I'm experiencing from talking to customers, there is a trend building where people want to interact with reports and business intelligence and data analysis in much more a modern app kind of experience, as opposed to a Power BI experience. The number there of 88%, so that was a study done by Amazon where 88% of users won't return to a site where they've had a poor experience. So that really highlights the critical role that user experience and user interface plays with people coming back to your site, and also like discouraging them from using your solutions as well. And the final one there is 70% of Gen Z want intuitive experiences. And the Gen Z workforce is going to keep growing, and they will ultimately, I think, shape how we use business intelligence and analytics solutions. By 2025, Gen Z will make up around 30% of the workforce. Some of Gen Z at the moment are only 12 years old, so they'll be coming into the workforce as well. I've got a Gen Z daughter who's just about to turn 17 tomorrow, and she doesn't hold back in criticism of things. So they're very much going to be shaping how we use business intelligence, data analytics, and it's very much going to be around that, from what I can see, using it as like a modern web application. So what are the laws of UX? What I'm going to predominantly talk about today. So the laws of UX are a set of principles and best practice that guide how we design user-friendly and intuitive interfaces. So it's built around psychology. If you Google it, you'll find lots of information around it. It's been used for decades now in the design of products, in the design of websites and UI and interfaces, etc. So the psychology of around it is around the design should align with how users think and process information. So around cognitive design principles, there's a law called Hick's law, which I will go into later in the presentation, and that's around helping reduce complexity and improve decision making. Guidance within the laws of UX is around like clear navigation, direction cues, making it easier for users to move through your interface or through your business intelligence data analytics solution without confusion. So really enhancing their overall experience. Interaction, so this is around emphasizing the importance of smooth and intuitive and responsive designs, responsive interfaces, which can really help to improve usability. And the final one there, I've gone too far. There we go. The final one there, clarity. So a clear and well-organized interface can help really enhance usability, reducing distractions, makes design easier to understand and interact with. So just a better experience for users. So content to the presentation. So there's two laws of UX that I just want to cover at the top, which I think if you're going to take anything away from this are the two, I would say, most important ones, which will get you start thinking in a kind of design and modern web application mindset. And that is aesthetic usability and Jacob's law. So I'm going to cover those two, and then I'm going to cover another 4 of the laws of UX. In total, there are 21. I'm not going to do all 21, obviously, because if I did all 21, we'd be here until really late. You'd be ordering another round of pizza, and yeah, so I'm not going to be doing that. And then a bit of time at the end for some questions. So jumping into it then, so aesthetic usability. So aesthetic usability is where aesthetic designs are often perceived as more usable. So as it says there, it shows that users perceive attractive designs as more usable. So creating appealing Power BI dashboards can ultimately improve satisfaction, engagement, and overall usability. But I think a key one there, which is one of the numbers at the top, was around it can improve adoption and retention of users as well. So just to explain it a bit more, so around perception, so I said there, users tend to perceive aesthetically pleasing designs as more user-friendly, even if they aren't functionally simpler. So I have had scenarios where I've had, a member of staff of mine build a really good looking dashboard, and on first impressions, it looks amazing, looks like it's gonna be really great to use. It looks much better than ones that designed before, but actually under the hood, it's actually usability is not that great. It's a bit of an unpleasant experience, but the initial experience is really good. So around engagement, so attractive designs can, like I say, can increase user retention and adoption. They can help to create positive emotional responses. So it can encourage your users to stay longer and interact more with the solution that you've built as well, which we all want them to do. We want them to spend more time on our dashboards and our reports, so to help them do their jobs better and get the answers that they need. Psychological impact as well. So visually appealing interfaces, they can help reduce cognitive load and stress on people. This is something that has, if you read into the laws of UX, there is psychology around that. It can help make tasks feel less overwhelming and obviously improve the overall satisfaction user experience. And its relevance to Power BI, I've kind of said it already, but well-designed dashboards, they can help present data better, but also enhance user satisfaction. The next slide is an example of I would say, a not aesthetically pleasing website, but be prepared to be quite overloaded by it. So this is lingscars.com, which is actually a real website. It's a car leasing website. You can go on it and actually lease cars from this website. As you can see there, I think you could lease what looks like an army van at the bottom there. It's an absolute attack on the senses. if you're on your phone at the moment, don't go to it because it starts playing a really loud dial-up tone. I didn't realize it was going to do it earlier and it gave me a headache. It's really obnoxious. But to me, this is quite an unpleasant website and not aesthetically pleasing. And then this is a good example of a website. If you didn't hear what I said, I was just saying how it uses space well. It's well laid out. It's very obvious how you interact with it, etc. So what is its application in Power BI for aesthetic usability? So there's just 5 tips there. So using consistent color schemes across all your visuals, it can create harmony in your visuals. It builds familiarity and trust, reduces cognitive load, and users can easily associate certain colors with specific types of data. An easy example is if a value is going up and that's a good thing, it's green. If the value is going down and that's a bad thing, you make it red using conditional formatting. Readable fonts and a well-defined hierarchy within those fonts. I've seen lots of reports where they're using 5, 6, 7, 8 different fonts of different sizes, and it becomes very confusing. So stick to. I generally use 2 to 3 fonts and have a very clear hierarchy of those fonts and sizes. So you have a font for headings, you have a font and size for headings, a font and size for subheadings, a font and size for data labels and your X and Y axis, for example. So ensure all visuals and text are well aligned. Helps to create a balanced, organized layout. And a well-organized layout, it feels intuitive to users, it feels professional, it helps users to find information easily, and it can help minimize confusion or frustration. Now, I'm one of those developers that if someone comes to me and they show me a report, if a visual is a pixel off compared to the visual next to it, I'm going to spot that straight away. And it's a real bugbear of mine. And before anything else, I'll be pointing that out just to because it helps to show that we're taking what we do seriously. I know it sounds like an insignificant thing, but it shows that we're professional in what we're doing and we're taking it seriously, especially when we're delivering these things to customers as well. So number 4, so avoiding overcrowding. So white space can help reduce visual clutter, can help to give emphasis to key data points, makes the design feel more open and accessible, and it can prevent information overload as well. And then interactive elements like hover effects, so thinking about tooltips, for example, bookmarks can help the dashboard feel more responsive and engaging and provide a more seamless and enjoyable experience as well. So this is just an example of a report that I've built. I chose this one because I think it shows a good use of white space, a good layout. I think it's very obvious how you, I'm just going to bring up the laser pointer. So it's very obvious how you navigate around it with the buttons at the top here, and then you've got the options at the top left as well, which is very reminiscent with apps and websites we use on a daily basis. You can see that this looks similar to the example website I gave earlier in the way it's laid out, for example. So that's just an example in Power BI. Yeah. So next slide. I'm going to move on to the next law now, which is Jacob's law. Okay, so Jacob's law is where users expect your solution to work like the ones they already know. So think about your users and think about yourself. You spend more time on other websites, on other applications than you do probably in Power BI or within BI tools. So Jacob's law states, like as I said there, states that users prefer familiar interfaces because they spend most of their time on other apps and websites. So preference, users favor familiar designs as they're easier to use, they require less mental effort, and they can lead to faster adoption and greater satisfaction as well. If you design a report or a dashboard and you've got navigation and filters and slicers, and you've got them here, there, and everywhere, and they don't conform to any kind of standard, that can be quite overloading for users. Think about when you interact with apps, you go to the top left or right because that's where you expect the filter button to be. You go to the top of the page or the left of the page because that's where you expect the navigation to be. So that's how. So your reports should reflect that as well, because that's what your users are used to. So relevance. So aligning reports to user interfaces that are within common apps helps to ensure that users feel comfortable. It can reduce friction, makes it easier for them to navigate as well. So you can take inspiration from, you know, the apps that are on your phone or the websites you log into. If you think about, I don't know, your energy account that you log into, that will have some level of analytics in it because it's showing you your usage. So that you can take that as inspiration and take that to your reports and think about your designs in that way. Efficiency, so it's predictable, consistent, allows users to operate more confidently and efficiently, improving their overall productivity. And then learning, so utilizing familiar design can help shorten the learning curve, helps to avoid user frustration, and helps them to adapt much quicker to your solution, to new systems, new reports. So 5 tips for its application of Jacob's law in Power BI. So consistency reduces cognitive load, makes it easier for users to navigate reports since they know what to expect. Familiar placement for controls, so thinking about where your filters are going to be, where your navigation is going to be, helps users find what they need a lot more quickly, improving efficiency and satisfaction. Consistency in text styling can help enhance readability, and again creates a polished and professional look that can reduce confusion. Consistent colors and icons can help users quickly understand functionality, can boost usability and confidence in their use of your solution. And a predictable layout as well, as that improves the user's confidence, makes navigation more straightforward, enhancing their overall experience. And an example of a Power BI report is this one. So this is just to show how it's sticking to that layout that we expect, with navigation on the left. We have search along the top and additional options in the top right there as well. So sticking to those kind of design principles there. And then the next law, so law number 3. Although before I go into that one, I will pause. Does anyone have any questions so far? If you do, you can just put your hand up and I'll stop. But any so far? One person can shake their head and I'll move on. Nice, thank you. So the next one is, oh, did someone say something?
We're okay for now, thanks.
Okay, cool. So the next one is called the von Restorff effect. So this is where people will remember distinctive items that stand out from their surroundings. So an explanation of that then is when multiple similar items are present, the one that differs is more likely to be remembered. So thinking about distinctiveness, so unique elements are more rememberable. When something stands out visually, users are more likely to recall it, making it easier for them to focus on key information. Using contrast helps certain elements stand out, can help grab users' attention, ensures that important data or features are noticed quickly. Focus, so highlighting key data, ensures users focus on what matters most. It can draw attention to the most critical insights, can improve decision making, and can help reduce confusion as well. And the last one, impact. So distinct visuals can help improve the retention of information. So it can lead to better recall, understanding of important data points or features within your reports or dashboards. So a couple of tips of how you can apply that into Power BI. So using bright contrasting colors can make critical metrics easier to notice and remember, can draw the user's attention to the most important data points. Bolder, larger fonts can help enhance visibility of key information, can help ensure that it's not overlooked and stands out against other content on your solutions. Icons are really powerful as well. They can provide visual cues for people, making it easier for users to quickly identify and focus on important parts of your dashboards. Shading and highlighting specific areas, so making them more distinct, making them stand out, can help users navigate reports more effectively, can help emphasize certain sections as well. And then unique shapes, varying shapes, borders can help separate, highlight key visuals, etc. And an example that I'm going to show is, this is not a report, but this is more of a selection of standout visuals, or I've started to call them Power BI widgets. And if you go to my LinkedIn, I've done a slew of posts around Power BI widgets. So for example, this one here, so top 3 selling products, it's purple, it's got some imagery that's kind of faint in the background. That will make it stand out on your report page. So if you think about if this is a KPI card and it's the most important KPI of the 4 or 5 that you have on your report, give it a color in the background, give it some imagery, make it stand out a bit more. And then like this visual down here, it's got KPIs on it, but it also draws the user attention to go, actually, there's some more information I can get here. If I click on these buttons, it's going to take me through to some extra reporting or something like that. So that's just some examples of sort of standout visuals there. Okay. Law number 4, which is the paradox of the active user. And this is where users will prioritize immediate use over learning for long-term efficiency. So to go into that a bit more, users typically prefer to start using tools right away rather than taking the time to explore tutorials or new features. I think a lot of us have been guilty of getting that flat pack furniture from IKEA and ignoring the manual and just cracking on with it and then making a mistake. But that's what we're wired to do, right? We just want to get stuck in and start using it, and we'll worry about the mistakes and we'll learn it later, right? We just want to get to the value straight away. We have a desire for quick results. That does create a learning gap. So that immediate use mindset can create a gap where users can end up skipping over features that could actually improve their efficiency in the long term and can lead to kind of missed opportunities for optimization as well in their use of those tools. So the productivity focus. So users tend to prioritize short-term productivity, focusing on getting tasks done immediately rather than spending time learning new functionality, and then miss potential by skipping the learning process, they can end up underutilizing key features, reducing the overall potential of the tool, missing out on enhanced performance and capabilities. So how do we address this? What is kind of the application in Power BI? So, create intuitive dashboards, allow users to get started quickly, minimize the need for in-depth learning or instruction, which is really key for users that are looking for that immediate productivity. If it's going to take them hours to understand what your report's saying, or they're going to come back to you and say, I don't actually really understand what that's saying or what this button does, it makes for a poor experience. It reduces retention. Ultimately, adoption rates can plummet, and they might just abandon your solution in its entirety eventually. So we can do things like including tooltips, built-in guides. So tooltips to help provide additional context, can help users discover more advanced features, without disrupting their workflows. So if you think about, tooltips is a good one because you can, you can develop tooltips that you hover over and it shows a load more additional information without having that cognitive load of, right, oh, I've got to drill down, or I've got to drill through, or I need to go and ask somebody else what this means, for example. Simplify navigation. So familiar designs can reduce the learning curve, allows users to confidently navigate your dashboards, find out what they want quickly, and also using default views as well. So providing users with the most relevant information up front reduces the time they need to spend exploring and increases immediate usability. I suppose an example of that is, if you think about some of the reports you see sometimes, I think people miss that it's good to start with an overview report, and people want to cram as much information as they can onto a report. So they'll have all the KPI cards, and then they'll have three or four different charts, for example, and then they'll have like 2 tables of data as well. And actually start with the high level information first, the high level data first, the kind of data that, let's call it like an executive summary, and then give people the tools and the prompts to then drill into that information or move on to the next page in the navigation, which will give them more of that information as well. So like there, so clear visuals that can help users understand data at a glance, reducing the help for extra explanations, etc. So the next slide I'm going to show you is an example. It's not something I've built. It's been built by a chap called Laz. And he built basically it's guided learning that he built within his Power BI report. It's a video which hopefully it plays okay now. It's only 30 seconds long, so I'm just going to play that, and hopefully it plays okay. as he goes through, you can kind of see he's built this guided tour of the report of the solution that he's built using bookmarks within Power BI. But it just kind of takes the user through the initial steps of using the report, how the navigation works, where they should look for things, etc. And the cool thing about it as well is because it is built using bookmarks, they can come out of it whenever they want. If they want to come back into it and watch it again or go through it again at any point, they can click that guided learning button again and they can go through it. Or they can do it once and never have to bother with it again if they're happy with what they've saw. Yeah, so that's the end of the video. There is at the end of the presentation, there's a QR code that will lead you to Laz's LinkedIn page where he's got more things like this that you can take a look at. Okay, so the next law, number 5, is Hick's law. So Hick's law is around where more choice increases decision time and complexity for users. So to expand on that explanation there, so decision time, so more options means more time is needed for users to make decisions. Limiting choices can allow for quicker action, faster decision making. Like the example I gave earlier, thinking about a report that has got 10, 12, 15 visuals on it, it can overwhelm the user. It can be high cognitive load for them. So on cognitive load there, so too many options can overwhelm users. It can slow down their interactions, which can ultimately lead to frustration and abandonment of tasks as well. So simplicity, so by offering fewer, more focused choices, users can make decisions more quickly and confidently, improving their overall user experience. And then efficiency, so streamlining options, it can make interfaces more efficient, allowing users to complete tasks faster, and ultimately enhances productivity and satisfaction. So again, 5 tips of how we can apply this in Power BI. So limiting the number of visuals, so reducing the number of visuals can help avoid overwhelming users. It can make the dashboards easier to navigate, quicker to use. Grouping related options can simplify decision making, helps users focus more, and again, minimizing that cognitive load. So using drill through options, so providing details on demand helps reduce clutter on your reports, allows users to focus on more key metrics with their options to go deeper when they want to when necessary. Prioritizing essential KPIs, so focus on sort of those core metrics so users can make quicker decisions without being distracted by what we may call less important data at the time. And then simplifying filter options as well, so drop downs, predefined filters, so limit the number of choices presented at once. I think one of the most powerful things you can do and quick things you can do, and I'm sure the Power BI devs in the room have seen it already, is you can have a pop-out filter pane, have a button on your report where they click it and it pops out a pane and it's got all of your slices on there that the user then can interact with. They can click another button and they're gone. So an example, this is just an example of kind of a cut down report that shows that you can still create, quite impactful reporting, but quite cut down. So you see that I've implemented on that KPI total sales, where it's purple, it's got some imagery on it, so it makes it stand out. But then again, the user's got options to navigate through the report. They can navigate through to team members, go to different areas. They've got different options at the top here, for example, and then quite a cool slicer that I've built here as well. So the last law that we're going to talk about is Miller's law. So Miller's law is about how people can only really remember 7 plus or minus 2 items at any one time. So again, to expand on that, so as I say, humans can retain about 7 plus or minus 2 items at once in their short-term memory. So overloading users with more than that can overwhelm them and ultimately reduce their overall effectiveness. So for clarity, preventing fewer items at a time can help users focus better, understand information more clearly, and reduce confusion. There's something called chunking. So chunking is where we group related information together so users can process that information more effectively, making it easier to remember and work with. And also, don't use the 7 plus or minus 2 as a hard and fast rule. So while it's a useful guide, it shouldn't limit your design creativity. And I'll explain that a bit more in a minute. But the focus should be on clarity and usability rather than strictly adhering to a number. So again, it's 5 tips there. So tip 1, grouping related information can help users process, retain data more effectively. Tip 2, displaying too much information at once can overwhelm users. So keeping visuals focused can improve clarity, usability. Allow users to switch between visuals. So allow users to toggle between different data, different visuals can help them focus on what's important without being distracting. So, through the use of bookmarks, you can have you can have visuals on your report page, but by a click of a button, they can change how that visual displays. So they can switch between a column chart into a line chart, for example, by clicking on a button. So organizing content into distinct sections can help improve navigation, help users find what they need without confusing them. And then offering summary visuals up front as well. We've given them options to go for further information if they want it. So this example here, and this is what I was going to say, I was going to sort of expand on the chunking thing and around don't let the 7 plus or minus 2 be a hard and fast rule. And I'm just going to sort of lean into the Power BI widgets thing that I was talking about earlier. So this is one that I built where it's contained within this container. It gives information, it gives a chart, but the user can switch between sales value, returns, and customers within that same visual, within that same widget. Now, there's no reason why that kind of widget can't sit on a report page that has other visuals in it, because it adheres to that chunking premise where it's grouping those visuals and that data into an area of the report. It's giving the users options to navigate to different views of it without overwhelming them, so they can just focus on that widget. They can just look at that and take in that information. And like I say, there's no reason why that can't sit on a report in Power BI with other visuals on it as well. So that was the final law. But so just why is any of this important? So usability, right? So intuitive, easy to navigate designs, they can directly improve user experience. Users can be more engaged when the interface is simple and functional, help them to access insights with unnecessary friction, for example. Accuracy, clear, well-structured visuals and dashboards can provide more accurate and actionable insights. Help people make more informed decisions. Businesses can rely better on the solutions as well, and it can also help drive strategy within a business and improve operations and improve outcomes as well. The big one, I think, is around adoption. So, well-designed dashboards that adhere to these kind of laws, and we start thinking about how people engage with them in a web application kind of way. It can improve retention and adoption. It can help make users feel more comfortable and confident with the tool that they're using, and clarity as well. So simplicity in design, it can lead to better comprehension when information is presented clearly and users can grasp complex data much more quickly. And something I will add before I do wrap up at the end is we're moving into an era, I feel, within business intelligence, within Power BI, within data analytics, where the likes of Copilot and generative AI are getting much better. So us Power BI developers, the people that are developing dashboards and reports, we need to start thinking more about how we enhance the solutions that we are building, and how we kind of move not away from what we've been doing with visuals and stuff, but how we can add more to the solutions that we're designing. So, for example, earlier this week, I was speaking to an organization that have developed a solution in Power BI that allows you to create apps directly in Power BI. So thinking about workforce planning apps, product management apps, HR apps, you can build those directly within Power BI and using the data that's in your semantic models. so it's kind of moving into that kind of application web app kind of mindset when we're developing reports. How can we enhance them? How can we give people more options beyond just the analytics that are in there? A big one that this organization does is around write back, for example, and they can do real-time what if analysis as well due to that write back functionality. So it's sort of getting more into, as I say, that applications mindset. What more can we do within Power BI? And this is something that Microsoft are starting to pick up on as well, from what I've seen. So the solution that this organization has built is actually now included within Dynamics FinOps, Dynamics Finance and Operations. It's part of that now. So Microsoft are starting to take this more seriously as well, and so we should be listening to that change in the trend as well as report developers and thinking more about that. So thanks for listening. I'll just say as well that this is the first one of these I've done, so I do appreciate you all attending and listening to me. I do really appreciate that, so thanks very much. There's some QR codes there which take you to my LinkedIn, Laz's LinkedIn, and then I do have a YouTube channel as well. There's only 2 YouTube channels at the moment, only started it a couple of weeks ago, but there will be more content coming. But yeah, do connect with me on LinkedIn, and if you have any feedback from my presentation today, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. I would appreciate it. And yeah, if there's any questions now, I'll be happy to take any. Otherwise, thanks very much for your time.